Japan has always been ahead of the curve when it comes to robotics, but what they've built this time is on a whole new level. This is where the future of humanoid robots is taking shape. I'm talking lifelike movement, advanced AI, and designs that blur the line between man and machine. The kind of technology that once felt like science fiction is now rolling off the production line, ready to change industries, and maybe even society itself. The world wasn't ready for what Japan just unveiled, but whether we like it or not, the age of humanoid robots is here. 10th Humanoid DK. Humanoid DK is one of the creepiest, yet most fascinating robots ever built. It's basically a hyper-realistic android designed to look exactly like Henrik Schaffer, a Danish professor from Aalborg University. And when I say exactly, I mean down to the tiniest facial expressions, skin texture, and even the way he blinks. It's part of the Humanoid project, which is all about making robots that are so human-like they mess with your brain. This whole thing was developed in 2011 by Hiroshi Ishiguro, a robotics genius from Osaka University, who's borderline obsessed with creating lifelike androids. The idea behind Humanoid DK wasn't just to build a cool-looking robot, it was to study how people react to machines that look and behave almost like real humans. Turns out, it really messes with people's heads. There's this thing called the uncanny valley, where something is so close to looking human, but just off enough to make it unsettling. Humanoid DK sits right in that zone. Now, what makes this robot extra interesting is that Schaaf could actually control it remotely, so he could sit in one place, and his android twin could be somewhere else, moving, talking, even breathing in sync with him. This whole concept of telepresence is kind of crazy because it means, in theory, you could send your robotic double to a meeting or a lecture while you stay home in your pajamas. Technically, Humanoid DK is packed with all kinds of sensors, actuators, and AI-powered controls. It can mimic real human facial expressions, shift its posture naturally, and even blink at random intervals to seem more alive. But despite how impressive all that is, people still get a weird gut feeling when interacting with it. It's fascinating and uncomfortable at the same time, like your brain doesn't quite know how to process it. The bigger picture here is that robots like Humanoid DK blurs the line for identity, AI, and how we interact with technology. Are we okay with machines that look just like us? Can they replace humans in certain roles? Do we trust them? It's not commercially available or anything, but the research from this project has influenced everything from telepresence tech to AI-driven communication. Robots are here to stay, and well, the industry isn't just limited to this one. There are a lot more like it in the works. 9. Boston Dynamics Atlas. Boston Dynamics Atlas is basically the closest thing we have to a real-life robot superhero. This thing isn't just a hunk of metal with motors. It moves with an almost freakish level of agility, coordination, and balance. It can run, jump, do parkour, and even pull off backflips. And we're not talking clunky, awkward movements. This thing moves like an athlete. Atlas started out as a DARPA-funded project, originally built to help with search and rescue missions. But over the years, Boston Dynamics kept tweaking and upgrading it until it became the robotic gymnast we see today. It's powered by hydraulic actuators and AI-driven control systems, allowing it to adjust its movements in real time. If it stumbles, it can catch itself. If it needs to turn mid-air during a flip, it makes micro-adjustments like a human would. The real game changer with Atlas is its level of autonomy. While early versions were remote controlled, newer iterations can analyze their environment and figure out how to move on their own. When you see Atlas jumping between platforms, running up ramps, or doing handstands, it's not just blindly following pre-programmed motions, it's calculating balance, force, and trajectory on the fly. That's why watching it feels so surreal. It doesn't just look human-like in movement. It thinks in a way that mimics how we navigate physical spaces. Boston Dynamics keeps pushing the limits, and each new demo video somehow makes Atlas seem even more unreal. One day, it's jogging through a field. The next, it's vaulting over obstacles in an obstacle course like it's training for the Olympics. It's equal parts impressive and terrifying. Because if robots can move like this now, imagine what they'll be capable of in 10 years. But here's the thing. Atlas isn't meant to be a commercial product. It's more of a high-end research platform to test what's possible with robotic mobility. The advancements from Atlas are already influencing other robots, from warehouse automation bots to potential future humanoid assistants. The military, disaster response teams, and even space exploration missions could all benefit from what Boston Dynamics is learning from Atlas. Digit. Agility Robotics Digit is the robotic co-worker that warehouses have been waiting for. Unlike those bulky, single-purpose robots you see in automated factories, Digit is designed to move and work like a human, without actually being human. It's got 2 legs, 2 arms, and enough flexibility to handle real-world logistics challenges, like lifting boxes, walking up steps, and maneuvering around obstacles. The whole idea behind Digit is that instead of redesigning warehouses to fit robots, Agility Robotics designed a robot that can fit into existing warehouses. It doesn't need conveyor belts, special loading docks, or an army of engineers to keep it running. You can drop it into a workspace alongside human workers, and it'll figure out how to help with tasks like unloading trucks or moving packages. One of Digit's biggest strengths is its adaptability. It's not pre-programmed for one specific job. Instead, it can assess its surroundings, decide the best way to move, and adjust its actions accordingly. That's a huge deal, because most warehouse robots are stuck on fixed paths, whereas Digit can navigate unpredictable environments. If there's a box in the way, it doesn't freeze up, it just walks around it like a person would. It also strikes a balance between strength and efficiency. It can lift and carry up to 40 pounds, which is plenty for most warehouse tasks, but it's still lightweight and power efficient enough to work all day without needing constant recharges. Plus, its arms aren't just for carrying. They help with balance, so it can walk smoothly even when stepping over uneven surfaces. Agility Robotics envisions Digit as a tool that works with people, not as a replacement. The goal isn't to replace human workers entirely, but to handle the more repetitive, physically demanding tasks. That way, people can focus on jobs that require decision-making and problem-solving, while Digit takes care of the grunt work. Companies like Amazon and Ford have already shown interest, and it's not hard to see why. If robots like Digit can take over warehouse logistics, businesses can boost efficiency without redesigning their entire infrastructure. And since it's built to function in human-friendly environments, it could eventually expand beyond warehouses. Digit can deliver packages, assist in hospitals, or even help with home care. For now, though, it's all about making warehouses smarter, faster, and less dependent on purely manual labor. And if it works as intended, Digit might just change the way we think about robots in the workplace. 7. NASA's Valkyrie. NASA's Valkyrie is what you'd get if you combined a space explorer, a rescue worker, and a sci-fi movie robot. It was originally built for space missions. Think Mars colonization, deep space stations, and places where humans can't safely go. But it turned out to have just as much potential here on Earth, especially for disaster response. Physically, Valkyrie is a powerhouse. It stands about 6 feet 2 inches tall and weighs 300 pounds, with a humanoid design that gives it an impressive range of motion. It has 44 degrees of freedom, which means its joints are highly flexible, allowing it to move its arms, legs, and torso in a way that mimics human movement. That flexibility is a huge advantage in environments where robots usually struggle, like climbing over rubble, opening doors, or handling delicate equipment. One of the coolest things about Valkyrie is its adaptability. Unlike most robots that follow strict, pre-programmed actions, this one is designed to think on its feet, well, as much as a robot can. It uses advanced sensors, cameras, and LiDAR to scan its surroundings, recognize objects, and navigate complex environments. That's a game changer for space exploration, where things don't always go as planned, but it also makes it perfect for disaster zones, where debris, unstable surfaces, and unpredictable obstacles are common. Another major feature is its modularity. Valkyrie was built with interchangeable parts, meaning its arms, hands, and sensors can be swapped out depending on the mission. If it needs more dexterity for handling fragile tools, it can use more precise robotic hands. If strength is the priority, it can be equipped with more powerful actuators. That kind of flexibility makes it a versatile tool rather than a single-purpose machine. NASA originally developed Valkyrie as part of the DARPA Robotics Challenge, where the goal was to create robots capable of assisting in disaster relief scenarios like nuclear meltdowns or collapsed buildings. But as the technology evolved, NASA realized it could be even more useful for deep space missions. Imagine a robot like this maintaining a space station, repairing equipment on the moon, or even building habitats on Mars before astronauts arrive. For now, Valkyrie is still in the testing phase, but its potential is huge. Whether it ends up saving lives in disaster zones or setting up humanity's first off-world colony, it's clear that NASA is building something that could have a major impact on both Earth and space exploration. 6. Sophia. Hanson Robotics' Sophia is probably the closest thing we have to a movie android in real life. She's a humanoid robot designed to interact with people in a way that feels natural, at least as natural as a robot can be. What makes Sophia stand out is her face. Unlike most robots that just have a screen or a stiff, mechanical head, she has a skin-like covering made from a special material called frubber. Yes, that's really what it's called. This lets her make facial expressions that are surprisingly human-like. She can smile, frown, raise her eyebrows, and even look mildly unimpressed. Basically, all the things that make conversations feel more real. Sophia's conversational abilities are another big part of her appeal. She uses AI to recognize speech, process questions, and respond in a way that feels somewhat natural. She's not perfect. Sometimes her answers are a little off, or you can tell she's pulling from pre-programmed responses, but she's definitely more advanced than your average chatbot. She's even been on talk shows, given speeches, and had conversations with world leaders. In 2017, she made headlines when Saudi Arabia granted her honorary citizenship, making her the first robot to receive that kind of recognition. Under the hood, Sophia is a mix of AI, robotics, and machine learning. She can recognize faces, track eye contact, and even analyze emotions to some degree. The goal is to create a robot that can be useful in social settings. Think customer service, healthcare, or even entertainment. She's not just about answering questions. She's designed to engage in more meaningful interactions. Hanson Robotics envisions robots like her assisting the elderly, teaching children, or just keeping people company. Of course, not everyone's a fan of her. Some people see her as an exciting step toward more advanced AI-human interaction, while others think she's more of a publicity stunt than a true breakthrough. Her AI isn't self-aware, and her responses are still limited by programming, but she does raise interesting questions about how humans will interact with robots in the future. For now, Sophia is still evolving. She's been upgraded several times since her debut, and Hanson Robotics continues to improve her speech, expressions, and learning abilities. Whether she's a sign of things to come or just an impressive experiment, she's definitely one of the most recognizable humanoid robots in the world. 5th, Ubtex Walker. Ubtex Walker is a butler robot, minus the tux. It's a humanoid service robot designed to handle everyday household tasks, move around autonomously, and even interact with people in a way that feels surprisingly smooth. Unlike most humanoid robots that are built for research or factory work, Walker is specifically made for homes and offices, meaning it's all about convenience, not just showing off fancy robotics. One of the most impressive things about Walker is its balance and mobility. A lot of robots struggle with basic walking, but this one can move fluidly, climb stairs, and even adjust its gait to avoid obstacles. That's because it's packed with sensors and AI-driven navigation that help it map out environments and react in real time. Whether it's dodging furniture or figuring out the best path to take, Walker is designed to move naturally through human spaces without bumping into everything. What really sets Walker apart is its ability to use its hands effectively. It has improved hand-eye coordination, meaning it can grip objects, pour drinks, and even serve tea. This might not sound groundbreaking, but for humanoid robots, precise hand movement is one of the hardest things to get right. Most robots either have stiff, awkward movements or require external assistance, but Walker's dexterity makes it actually useful in everyday situations. It can open doors, carry items, and even hand you objects when needed. On the interactive side, Walker comes with a smart AI assistant that allows it to understand voice commands, recognize faces, and even engage in casual conversation. It's designed to be more than just a moving machine. It's meant to be a helpful companion. Imagine telling it to bring you a drink, remind you of your schedule, or even just greet guests at the door. UbTech has been refining Walker for years, with each version getting better at tasks and movement. The ultimate goal is to make it a fully autonomous home assistant, something that could one day take over chores and make life easier. While we're not quite at the level of sci-fi robot servants yet, Walker is definitely a step in that direction. It's still evolving, but it's one of the more promising examples of humanoid robots that could actually be useful in everyday life. Sirena 4 is the latest and greatest humanoid robot out of Iran, and it's a massive leap forward from its earlier versions. The first Sirena model, introduced in 2008, could barely walk, and while later versions improved on that, they were still pretty limited in what they could actually do. Sirena 4, though, it's on a whole different level. This thing doesn't just walk, it interacts, reacts, and even handles objects with surprising precision. One of the biggest upgrades is its hands. Earlier versions were basically just for show, but now Sirena 4 can grab and manipulate objects with real dexterity. It can pick up a water bottle, use power tools, and even write its own name on a whiteboard. That might not sound like much, but for a humanoid robot, these kinds of small, precise movements are a huge deal. Then there's its mobility. Walking on two legs is already tough for robots, but Sirena 4 takes it a step further by adapting to rough terrain. It can adjust the angle and position of its feet in real time, making it far more stable than most bipedal robots. That's a big advantage if it ever needs to operate outside of a controlled lab setting. But what really makes Sirena 4 impressive is its AI. It's not just some rigid pre-programmed machine. It can track faces, recognize speech, and even pose for a selfie. It's designed to interact with humans in a more natural way, making it a lot more useful for real-world applications. Sure, the idea of a humanoid robot taking selfies might sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it shows just how far we've come in making robots that can engage with us like actual people. So, what's the big picture here? Sirena 4 isn't just a cool research project, it's a step toward robots that can actually work alongside humans in industrial settings, research, and even disaster response. It might not have the gymnastic abilities of Boston Dynamics Atlas, but it's built for practical use, and that's what makes it so exciting. Asimo has always been way ahead of its time. When it debuted in 2000, it wasn't just another clunky machine trying to walk in a straight line. It was a fully functional bipedal robot that could run, climb stairs, and even recognize faces and voices. At a time when most robots were still rolling around on wheels, Asimo looked like something straight out of the future. One of the biggest breakthroughs was its walking ability. Asimo wasn't just taking slow, awkward steps. It had dynamic balance, meaning it could shift its weight naturally, like a human. It could walk up and down stairs without stopping at every step, run at nearly 6 kilometers per hour, 3.7 miles per hour, and even make smooth turns while in motion. For a robot, that was revolutionary. Most machines with legs tend to struggle with simple movement, but Asimo made it look easy. But it wasn't just about mobility. Asimo had surprisingly advanced AI for its time. It could recognize people, understand basic voice commands, and even react appropriately in conversations. Honda designed it to interact with humans in a natural way, making it one of the first robots built for real-world social interactions. It could carry a tray, pour a drink, and even wave hello, small actions that made it feel less like a machine and more like a futuristic assistant. For years, Asimo was the gold standard for humanoid robots. It traveled the world, showcasing its abilities at tech expos and even meeting world leaders. But despite its success, Honda decided to retire Asimo in 2018, shifting focus to more practical robotics and AI-driven mobility solutions. The technology behind Asimo, however, didn't disappear. It paved the way for modern robots, influencing everything from advanced prosthetics to autonomous service robots. Asimo may no longer be making public appearances, but its legacy is everywhere. It proved that bipedal robots could move naturally, interact with people, and function in everyday environments. Even today, many of the humanoid robots making headlines owe a lot to what Asimo accomplished over 2 decades ago. Second, Unitree's H1. Unitree's H1 is one of those robots that feels like a glimpse into the future. It's not just another humanoid bot, it's a serious step toward making these machines practical in the real world. Standing at about 5 feet 11 inches and weighing around 100 pounds, it's surprisingly lightweight for its size. That's intentional. Unitree has been refining robot mobility for years, especially with its 4-legged robots, and now they're applying that expertise to humanoid designs. One of the coolest things about the H1 is how well it sees the world around it. It comes equipped with a 3D LiDAR sensor and a depth camera, which means it can map its environment in high detail. Instead of just reacting to obstacles, it understands its surroundings and adjusts accordingly. The panoramic scanning feature gives it near-total awareness, which is a huge deal for robots that need to operate in unpredictable spaces like warehouses, offices, or even busy streets. But let's talk about movement, because this is where Unitree really knows what they're doing. A lot of humanoid robots still look awkward when they walk, stiff, unsteady, almost like they're still figuring out how to use their legs. The H1, on the other hand, moves in a way that looks much more natural. It's built for energy-efficient, fluid motion, meaning it won't just drain its battery trying to take a few steps. That's a huge deal if humanoid robots are ever going to be practical beyond lab tests and tech demos. And here's where things get even more interesting. Unitree isn't just making robots for research, they're making them for real-world use. While some companies focus on high-end, expensive prototypes, Unitree is known for producing advanced robots at a much lower cost. The H1 isn't just a flashy experiment, it's a sign that humanoid robots are getting closer to being something you might actually see walking around in everyday life. We're not at the point where robots like this will be delivering packages or helping out at grocery stores, but with companies like Unitree pushing the limits, that future is definitely coming. If Atlas is the show-off athlete of humanoid robots, the H1 is the quiet, efficient worker T-Hat might actually get the job done. First, Tesla Optimus. Tesla's Optimus Gen 2 is a humanoid robot designed to handle a wide range of tasks, from industrial work to household chores. It stands 5 feet 8 inches tall, weighs 125 pounds, and moves with an impressive level of precision. One of its standout features is its hands, which have 11 degrees of freedom. That means it can grip objects with a surprising amount of control, whether it's holding a tool, picking up a fragile item like an egg, or handling everyday objects with ease. Optimus has articulated toes and advanced force sensors, allowing it to walk smoothly and maintain balance. It's not just limited to basic walking though. It can squat, shift its weight naturally, and even perform controlled movements that make it look a lot more human-like. The combination of these physical capabilities makes it versatile, whether it's navigating a factory floor or assisting with more delicate tasks at home. The robot is powered by Tesla's AI, which allows it to adapt and learn over time. It processes visual data, recognizes objects, and refines its actions based on experience. This means it isn't just following a set of pre-programmed commands. It can make adjustments and improve how it performs tasks the more it does them. For safety, Optimus is equipped with multiple fail-safes, including obstacle detection and emergency stop functions. These features make it reliable for working alongside people, whether in a manufacturing relaxing setting or assisting with daily tasks. It's also designed to be easy to use, requiring minimal setup while integrating smoothly into different environments. With its ability to handle both industrial and household tasks, Optimus is one of the most advanced humanoid robots out there. It's built to be practical, functional, and capable of working alongside humans in a way that feels natural. Would you let any of these in your home?